My name's Craig Jostling and I'm from City Bible Forum, and it's fantastic to have you here today for our second big challenge, working with the woke agenda. Actually, when we did the survey of people last year to come up with these 5 topics that we're covering this week, this topic was by far the one that people found to be the biggest challenge. Working with the woke agenda was the one that people resonated with the most. For example, what do you do on Wear It Purple Day? If you're in the waiting room, you saw the list of options of things that you could do. Do you try to avoid it and ignore it, i.e. you just don't come into the office that day? Do you complain to HR or to your manager, kick up a bit of a stink? Or do you go along with it to avoid conflict, but maybe more positively, there might be an opportunity to talk to someone about Jesus, to get onto something a bit deeper, or maybe you don't know how to respond, and maybe that's why you're here today. Lynda, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks,
How are
Craig.
you?
I'm well, thank you.
Yes,
Good to
yes.
be here.
Yep, that's good. Tell us about your job. What do you do?
Okay, so I do work for Westpac, one of the big 4 banks, as most of you would know of.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I've had a variety of roles across the years in the organisation. I joined as a grad over 30 years ago, and I've stayed, much to my own surprise. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, I've
I've
stayed.
heard a rumor that you've been there for about 37 years.
Yes, I have, which
Now that's quite unusual, isn't it, in the modern culture? Do you mind sharing why you've stayed there so long?
Well, people who know me well know that I'm pretty loyal. I've been in the bank for over 30 years. I've been married for over 30 years. I've been at the same church for over 30 years or coming up to 30 years. And I'm still shopping at the same supermarket. So people not think that I'm pretty loyal. Others might call it something different. But I guess more seriously, the organisation's offered me a lot of flexible work options, which has enabled me to sort of work around family and ministry at different points during that 30 years plus. And also, have a variety of different roles. So I've chosen to, just do
Yep.
a number of different things rather than sort of move
Oh,
around and
people are
go up
looking
and
at
down.
with you with a lot of awe and respect. You've escaped all those redundancy rounds. Well done.
Somehow, yes.
Now
Yes.
let's turn to today's topic, working with the woke agenda. Are you able to share some of the pressure that you've faced from the upper echelons of management on some of these woke social agenda issues?
Yeah, sure. So I guess, over the years, there has been a noticeable shift with companies taking on social issues. There's been a couple in the last few years in particular that we'd all be aware of, with a lot of, debate in the media and the general media as well. And I guess, the companies seem to expect that we're all going to go along with, whatever their view is or their stance is on it. And yeah, that's been quite challenging. And I think in the last few years, particularly, it's been particularly prevalent. Although maybe I'm seeing a little bit of pullback from that now. But yeah,
Hmm.
that's been my
Yes.
experience. Yeah.
Now
Mm.
there was an incident with the gay marriage debate.
Mm.
Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah. So our CEO at the time has sent out an email to the whole of the company, saying that he supported this, and these are all the reasons why he supported us, and encouraging all employees really to think about it and support it. He did sort of put a note at the bottom to say, yes, you all have different views. But it came up the next day in a big sort of stand-up team meeting we had, and someone sort of spoke out and said, oh, wasn't that great that he sent it out, and et cetera, et cetera. And then I was totally unprepared for that, but I just spoke up and I just said, well, I'm sorry, I have a different view. I said I don't support that, and there's many of us have different view, and we had a little bit of a discussion. I think sort of the
How
room
many
went
people were in the meeting?
probably about 20. Yeah, about
All right,
20.
so that's quite a brave thing to do. Yeah, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, the room went quiet for a little bit. And particularly because I am a quieter person, I'm not known for my, being really
Activism.
out there and activism. So yeah, I think took people a little by surprise at the time. Yeah.
Okay. And did you suffer any negative consequences from sharing your thoughts?
No, not really. As I said, I think people sort of avoided me for a couple of weeks, but then things went back to normal. I think, yeah, my manager did have a word with me the next day and said, well, there are people in this room that would be, really for this, gay people or others who really supported this. And, just be a little bit careful. And I sort of thanked him for, speaking to me on it, but I just said to him, look, and it gave me an opportunity to talk to him more deeply about my faith. So a number of
Mm-hmm.
people knew I was a Christian
Yeah.
already, so they probably weren't surprised terribly. But to have that one-on-one with my manager, he was sort of warning me there could be consequences from it. There were none that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was able to speak more deeply to him about
Yeah.
whom I'm
So there was
serving.
an upside. You had a good conversation about a deeper spiritual thing with your manager.
Yeah, and another senior manager actually came to me quietly and said, thanks for saying that. So it's sort of,
Mm-hmm.
you always find out there are people
Mm.
often on your side, but they
Mm-hmm.
don't speak up. And
Yes.
so, yeah, that was,
Some people appreciated you speaking up for
mm,
them.
mm-hmm,
Now,
yeah.
we've talked about Wear It Purple Day. What do you do on Wear It Purple Day?
Well, over the years, I've given this a lot of thought as to what my response would be, and thought through, how I should respond. And it's sort of probably changed over the years. But I just wanted to have a sort of a clear sort of response to it. So I sort of, spoke to people, my senior manager, Sam Chan, presented a talk, I think a couple of years back, and he put forward a couple of options, which I thought were quite helpful. One of those was, wear purple to join in as an expression of care and compassion for the people that it was trying to support. And others said, and this is where I landed, I think, was to wear it purple for me. And I don't think there's any right or wrong answer, but it was according to my conscience and what I thought was a godly response. I didn't think I could wear it purple because I thought it aligned me with the underlying cause, which around, gender identity, which, but much of the social opinion I don't agree with as a Christian. So I decided not to participate, but I thought I really needed to have a response if people asked me. So
Mm.
I, had a response sort of along the lines of, I agree that, we need to care for people and show respect to all people in the workplace. But we do have a code of conduct that that already expresses that and how we work together. And if you know me, you know that that's what I attempt to do all the time. Um, and Yeah, so that was my take on it. I decided not to participate. I had a reason for not participating if anyone asked me. And in fact, I really generally decided to opt out of most of those sort of days when you have to wear something or display something. And
Yes.
hoping that the social capital I'd built up with the people that I work with knew what it was like and that I,
Yeah.
showed those values all the time
Yes.
or most of the time.
You've got some runs on the board in terms of workplace relationships, having been there
Mm,
for so long and working with people,
yeah,
which
yeah.
helps if you do express a more controversial opinion. People know you, and yeah, and they know the real Lynda Pilot, that she's not really an ogre. Okay. Well, all this social agenda woke stuff, it's not all negative, is it? Do you want to just perhaps share how your group at Westpac has been able to leverage diversity and inclusion policies?
Yeah, sure. So, probably about 4 years ago, we were quite a small group of regular people who met regularly together, probably about 6 to 8 people. Um, and By God's grace, we got, a number of really key, enthusiastic people together, and we wanted to be able to reach out to the rest of the company and let them know that we existed so they could join us and grow our group. Um, so we knew that we wouldn't get recognised as a formal group, but we wanted to, put ourselves out there a little bit more because we'd been operating a bit sort of under the radar. We weren't, known except by word of mouth. So God blessed us with a great guy, Josh, and he had lots of skills, and that's his role actually. His in the company was around comms and engagement, And so he agreed to, or offered to, meet with HR and diversity and inclusion and ask them if we could post on Yammer or Viva Engage as it is now, a message about our group to go out to the whole company, which is, 30,000 plus people. So he approached them and wrote to them and then had a meeting with them. And the initial response to his request was a no, and a lot of, toing and froing with HR and diversity inclusion and others in the company. So he got no and knocked back a couple of times. But then, using his gracious but firm manner, he asked them this question. He asked them, please help me to understand why we promote XYZ religions, faiths, celebrations, but but you're saying that we can't do it for this Christian group. And so that was quite pivotal because it actually helped them realize the contradiction in their own approach. They were trying to be inclusive and diverse, and yet there was a no for one particular request. So they eventually agreed, and we were allowed to post on the All Company Yammer site, and gave us permission to do that once or twice a year, as long as we didn't spam people and all that sort of thing. So it was a great outcome. But yeah,
so the message went out to 30,000 people.
I think we got, can't quite remember, we got 12,000 views or something, and it added to our number, which was so encouraging, and people were so encouraged to know about us. And it's across the whole country, and even internationally. We got a few people from our overseas offices join for a little while, so that was great. Yeah, okay, but so, we were very clear what we wanted.
You had 6 of you before you went public. How many came along after Josh sent the message out?
Oh, look, we've probably had 100 people sign up to our Yammer group and to our distribution list. We probably have a strong core group of about 30 people now who regularly meet to pray, which is not a lot out of 30,000 people, but it was certainly a big improvement.
Yep. So there's a few lessons there, isn't there? There's one in perseverance.
Yes.
Secondly, being gracious with HR, but also, being a little bit firm. Help us to understand why they can do it, but we can't.
Yeah. And I think, you need to be very clear what you want to get out of it. Be very familiar with the policies and the words. So Josh, being a comms guy, he was able to use the words in the policies to, speak our case. But yeah, we wanted to make sure that we were fighting for the gospel, not with HR. So when they requested we change some wording, we went with it, even though it wasn't our preferred wording. And yeah, we wanted to pick our battles and be very clear.
Just on the Westpac Christian group, what do you enjoy about being part of that?
Well, there's quite a few things. It's great to be part of a supportive, like-minded group. In my case, I'm sort of on the leadership team. So we meet not as regularly as we'd like, I think, but obviously we are in the workplace and we're conscious of, that's most of where our time should be. But it's just a supportive group where we can share issues and concerns, whether it be workplace ones or more broadly, more personal ones, but a lot of, workplace issues. How do we respond to this, or how do we respond to that, and build each other up and encourage each other to share the gospel. It's also encouraged me to be more bold, with the others challenging me to be more bold. So there's a couple of instances where I was like, oh no, I don't think we can do that. Others challenged me and, had great outcomes. So for one thing, a couple of examples were we wanted to make a Vox Pop video for one of our events. And so someone said, let's reach out to our comms, the Westpac comms team. Yep. And I said, we can't do that. We've got no money. They charge, a lot of money. Anyway, we ended up reaching out and some guy offered to do it for free for us. So, and then we had Bibles to the CEOs was another case where someone wanted to present Bibles to the CEO, and we're like, oh, maybe not. It's not the right timing now. Then God sent the right timing, and we got to meet our outgoing CEO, our incoming CEO, and present Bibles to them through the prayer and perseverance of people in our group.
Fantastic. So there's definitely an upside to this diversity and inclusion stuff.
Yeah.
We might have to leave it there. in terms of the interview, but we'll get you back in a few minutes for the Q&A time.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Greg.
Lynda. See you soon. Lynda, this is a hard one. What's your take on gender pronouns? Do you participate in addressing people with their preferred pronouns?
I don't put the pronoun on my email signature, which many people do. And we're not forced to. I believe some workplaces require it, but we don't. And so I don't. And typically we just address people by their first name. So it hasn't really been an issue for me, I'd have to say.
You haven't copped any pressure or to do it?
No.
Another question from Mark. Were you the only religious group that's held an event at Westpac?
Yes, I believe so. I haven't seen any other religious events, although the company used to sometimes put on like Diwali sort of celebrations and promote them a bit more. But that would be the only one I'd be aware of. Yep.
Okay, but there have been Diwali. What about for Ramadan? Do they do anything for that?
No, not specifically. We just get, as a lot of you may do, your group execs might send out newsletters, and then they'll say, to colleagues celebrating this or that. So that was another thing. They were often doing that for Diwali or Ramadan or something else, but they never did it for the Christians. So we tried to get on that as well, and approached several execs, and a couple of them did put things in their newsletters. So that was another avenue.
Yep. Good. From Jessica, how do I respectfully decline invitations to certain events when asked in person?
I think similarly to, I think in my response to the wear it purple day and not wearing purple, I always try to start with a positive thing and say, yeah, look, I'm concerned for people and want to make sure that they're safe, and no one should be discriminated against, that sort of thing in the workplace, and we want to work together well. But I'm not going to attend this event because there's some aspects of it that I don't can't agree with. But I support a lot of other things, a lot of other events, something along those lines. If you're asked directly, yeah, I think I would say that. Start with something really positive, that you're affirming that you are for people, but there's some aspects of it that are not something that you can support.
Sure. Start with a positive, but don't be shy about sharing your opinion either. Okay, another one. Aren't you afraid that speaking up against your company will damage your career?
I don't think I've spoken up against the company. I think we're encouraged to, give our feedback and be involved. So I don't think tell me if I have, but I don't think I've spoken against my company in this.
You did mention before that you shared the fact that you didn't agree with the pressure to vote yes in marriage debate in a group of 20 people, including your manager.
Oh, true. Yes. So no, I wasn't concerned for my career. It wasn't something that I was concerned about. So yeah.
All right. You're just not too worried about it.
I wasn't too worried about it, but maybe, some companies and organizations, there might be a whole lot more pressure, and it might be, quite more obvious. In our company, it wasn't that. I mean, we did have lots of stuff in the foyer, et cetera, and you really felt bombarded by it, but there was no direct personal sort of, you must comply sort of thing.
And I suppose it's easy for me to say, but I guess in the end, we have to be prepared to move on, don't we? Or be sacked for the sake of the gospel. If it comes down to that. But I haven't heard of anyone who has lost their job because of this.
No, I mean, maybe if you're a more senior leader. I'm not a senior leader, and I'm not. Yeah, so maybe I'm expected to toe the line a little bit more.
Mm,
But I've sort of deliberately tried to stay out of that because I felt like I just had more flexibility and from a number of different reasons as well. Yeah, so that might be harder if you're a leader.
that's
Mm.
right. Oh, yeah, one here. How can I be a good Christian to my gay colleagues at work with love, but also with someone who respectfully disagrees with their beliefs? And if you could just be quick on this one. Sorry about that.
Um, well, I think it's just like any friendship, just be involved with them, but yeah, at some point, they have to know that you're a Christian and you're going to differ on lots of views, like any two people are going to differ on lots of views. So yeah, I don't think I can answer it very quickly, but I
Okay,
think, you get what I mean. Just,
sure.
yeah.
Do you have any sort of just a final word or a summary on this topic for us?
I think we're just leading on from that question, I guess, is just, yeah, we should be interested in people, because really the woke agenda issues don't come up that often. It's really the everyday working with people, um, doing your best in the workplace, in line with what you've been employed to do, being godly in the way we relate to people, and, having a couple of little strategies. So one of my strategies is when we get a new person in the team, I'm more of a one-on-one person. So I try and, arrange to catch up with them one-on-one. And as we're talking, giving them the opportunity to talk about themselves, as I talk about myself, I just let them know that I'm a Christian and I just leave it at that. So then I think then it sets the groundwork for maybe how I'm going to respond to other things if those big things come up.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I think generally people aren't antagonistic one on one, I've found. They might disagree with you, but happy to chat that way. But that's
Yeah.
how I
Have
find it.
have harder conversations one to one
Yeah.
in a more of a safe space. Great.
Yeah.
All right, we better leave it there. Thank you so much for taking on this topic and for being with us today.
Thanks, Craig.
Really
Thanks,
appreciate
everyone.
it.